already seen in the attendee panel that this is a very diverse group. This session is all about MuleSoft RPA and the last mile problem in business automation. This is a part of on tour campaign which the MuleSoft team is running. So there are multiple sessions which the MuleSoft community presented at Dreamforce, which are being repeated across multiple groups. And I'm very thankful to this group for having me today. Again, do not make any buying or purchasing decisions based on what you see or hear over the next half an hour or so. I'll do a quick introduction about myself a little bit later, but let's come to the agenda first. So I'll briefly talk about what is hyper automation. I'm assuming a lot of people here come either with a Salesforce background or a MuleSoft background, necessarily have a automation or a hyper automation background. So I'll try and explain what that is. We'll talk about what is MuleSoft RPA. We'll talk about some MuleSoft RPA use cases. We'll also look at how MuleSoft RPA, along with Composer and Anypoint platform, creates a three-legged stool for creating the last mile in business automation. We'll look at some demos and then we'll wrap it up, and I'll spare plenty of time for questions and answers because, as I said, like this is a fairly new product. And again, a lot of people who are in the MuleSoft ecosystem come from the integration side of things, not necessarily from the automation background. I'll keep it quick in terms of an introduction. I've been in the Salesforce ecosystem since a long time, 2007, or as married to Salesforce since 2007 because I spent a lot of time on it. I became an MVP in 2016. I work as a chief technology evangelist at Cloudworks, which is an Australian Salesforce and MuleSoft partner. And since I've been around for a very long time, I've done a number of certifications, presented at a number of conferences. I presented this session at the MuleSoft Theater at Dreamforce 2022. And it was fairly well received. And that was one of the reasons the community team reached out to me to repeat this session for a few groups. I lead a Salesforce architect group in Jaipur. I used to be a technical instructor for Salesforce. So I used to teach architecture and commerce courses for Salesforce. And last year, I also became a MuleSoft mentor. So let's talk about what is hyper automation. And before I do that, like if you at any point of time, if you have any questions, please post them in the. I'll plenty of time to do a Q&A towards the end. And just wanted to thank you all for being here. I think a lot of us, it's Saturday morning. For some of you who are in Australia, it's Saturday afternoon, evening. And some people, it's early. Thank you once again for sparing your time, and I'm hoping this will be useful for you. So simply put, like what is of automation? And you have probably seen similar pictures towards the end of long marathons or races. Like people start need support, and this is what we also call the last mile problem, which is where when you are running a business, a lot of things in terms of operational efficiency that an organization wants to do but is unable to do because of issues, because it needs people and cost associated with people, and people need time to do things. So has been a constant trend in terms of replacing human effort with hyper automation wherever possible. So how is it defined and what is the concept all about? So if somebody says like automation is now the next big thing, or it is now the next biggest concept, it is not really new. Like I started off in the software industry about 23 years back, and back then also we had automation, back then also we had bots. But the way those bots operate and the kind of things those bots do has all about achieving business outcomes through redesigned processes with minimal human intervention. So the portions in blue are where the key aspects of hyper automation are. So we are basically trying to eliminate any human dependencies. We also call it human bottlenecks. We are trying a bot taking over repetitive tasks, which can be done without human intervention. The key technologies where you have seen automation is business process management. There are a number of pro-code BPM platforms like APN, several others which do this. There are integration platforms as a service, platforms which leverage automation. There is no code process automation, and there is this concept of robotic process automation. So what exactly is MuleSoft RPA and why on earth is MuleSoft entering into this space? So, and again, you all might know a little bit of history more than what I do in terms of MuleSoft. So I side of things 2007 when I started working on Salesforce. 2015 was actually when I started learning MuleSoft. So and I've always known it as an integration platform, one of the best integration platforms. But even with Salesforce, when Salesforce acquired MuleSoft, there was a missing gap in terms of you could build out world-class integrations. You could use Salesforce CRM as the single source of truth, but there was that automation aspect which was missing. So MuleSoft acquired this company called Service Trace and rebranded this as MuleSoft RPA. The idea is that you combine the power of CRM integration and analytics along with Composer and RPA to kind of build an offering which is end to end. So again, there are other platforms. I've worked on UiPath, I've worked on Automation Anywhere, I'm aware of Blue Prism and others, but Salesforce is actually positioned in a unique manner because it has a core CRM, it has Anypoint platform as the integration platform, and now it actually has an automation platform. The best thing is you can also hook it up to an AI system, which it could be within Salesforce. So, for example, you could use Salesforce Einstein, or it could be external. So you could use AWS ML AI services like AWS SageMaker, or you could also use something which again Tableau Analytics was external or off platform earlier, but now since Salesforce acquired Tableau, we also consider it on platform. So as I said, it has pretty much all bases covered. Business process management, you have Salesforce flows, you also have Composer, which is basically a low code, no code way of doing things. You have the Mule Anypoint platform where you can actually build out endpoints and connect to disparate systems. And then you have MuleSoft RPA, which can be used for a number of use cases. And I'll actually show you a demo in terms of how it works with how it can interpret documents and how it can also be used to scrape screens as well. So before we get to RPA, and it's very important to talk about Composer because Composer is one of the tools which is actually used very, very commonly with MuleSoft RPA. So the idea is like you can obviously build APIs, you can for integrations with Anypoint platform. You can also do that on the side and use MuleSoft as a ESB or an orchestration layer. But what Salesforce really wanted to do was it has championed this concept of no code and being able to allow people to build integrations and write business logic without writing code. So that goodness of no code it wanted to bring to MuleSoft, and that's where MuleSoft Composer was born. So the idea is that you actually write an integration without writing any piece of code. So what they've done is, and this number is actually obsolete, I think it's 26 connectors now. So from within your Salesforce org, you actually can come and you can specify that you want to integrate with, for example, I want to integrate with QuickBooks or Jira or Box. So everything can be done through point click. You can define your configuration. You don't necessarily need to write code for things like that. And it's also very, very generic. If you don't want to connect to a named source, you can actually also call HTTP endpoints from connector. So anything that offers HTTP endpoint or a web service or APIs, you can actually do that integration from MuleSoft Composer as well. So the idea is that they will continue to build on this library of connectors, and then you can design, build, and monitor your integration flows either through Salesforce or MuleSoft Anypoint platform, which offers in terms of how you want to architect your solutions. So what is MuleSoft RPA? As I said, MuleSoft Composer is in most cases used as a triggering point for MuleSoft RPA. What MuleSoft RPA does is it provides you components like RPA Builder, RPA Manager, and these tools actually allow you to build bots, which you can then publish and which can actually take out the human aspects of certain tasks. So it comes with a toolbox of functions that allow you to easily orchestrate and interact with software and documents, images, API endpoints. We'll shortly look at. You can access data. The bot can access data on your behalf. If there is a web page where data has been entered, it can scrape that data as well. It can integrate with desktop and web applications that have no API. This is very, very powerful when it comes to interacting with legacy systems. For example, there is an IBM AS400 uses a command line interface, and every time you have a human which goes in, logs into the command line interface, that is something which you can train your bot to do, and it can do it without. Your bots can also interact with email, Excel files, and folders. You can actually read data from Excels. You can actually have the bot place certain files in certain folders to build out automations. And then a very common use case is it actually has native OCR, and which is recognition, and IDP, which is intelligent document processing capability. So anytime you have like a paper document, you got an invoice, you got a claim where person has written something in the handwriting, you can actually build out bots to automate that and read out information from those. And since it's a part of MuleSoft, so there is no code integration available with Salesforce and the Anypoint platform. So let's actually talk about what fits where, because now we have three things. You have your, which is basically no code integration. You have Anypoint, which is low code or pro code, and again this we are able to integrate. And then you also have MuleSoft RPA. So be used in conjunction with each other, but also these can be used separately from each other. It all really depends on. We also classify typically which teams within a business or which teams within a company would use this. So Composer is typically your business team about programming. They can use Composer to build out integrations. Mules, you're actually building out bots. So typically business along with business IT is involved. When you're establishing a COE, or you're trying to build out API based integration, that is where your IT team comes in. You can again talk to multiple apps or data sources or data sinks depending on which solution you are using. So for example, Composer, there are, as I said, told you, there are connectors available. MuleSoft RPA can take documents as inputs, images, legacy systems, and Anypoint you can, there's a lot of flexibility in terms of you can deploy it on-prem, you can deploy it on cloud. There can be a hybrid custom model as well. Purpose, I think I've already covered, not repeat. And then Composer and RPA, these are since no code, so you don't necessarily need to have a programming background, but to write endpoints with Anypoint platform, you definitely need to have some programming background. Use cases for composers, like easy to automate tasks. For example, there is an email which I expect from a certain ID to come in. That is something which Composer can do very easily for me. It will keep polling my email, and as soon as that email comes in, it can trigger certain tasks. So that is a very simple, easy to automate task. MuleSoft RPA is actually one level ahead in that sense. So you can actually talk to systems without an API, which is typically systems. It can deal with unstructured data. So data which you have written in poor writing on a paper form, it can actually deal with that. And Anypoint is obviously backend capabilities using APIs. So you obviously have like Composer, you can, it's very, very similar to Salesforce flows. For RPA, you have the RPA manager, you have the RPA builder, and you also have the RPA recorder where you can record and train your bot. And then Anypoint, Anypoint Studio, also Anypoint Exchange, where you would typically publish your artifacts. The use case is obviously process automation for Composer, automation for RPA, and then typically system integration via APIs for the Anypoint platform. So I do want to call out one big limitation that MuleSoft RPA currently has. It is the RPA builder and the RPA manager only run on Windows. And unfortunately, I'm on a Mac today. So what I've done is I've pre-recorded the demo, but I'll first walk through the use case and then how the demo flows from one step to the other. So let's assume a very, very common operation, which is order process, which is basically there is an order comes in into my email. My tip, which is always looking for these emails. They find the email with that specific order attachment. They open and download the individual order. For example, somebody has ordered 2 products. So I will treat that as those order line items. Then I'll go to my CRM to check if the customer is already an existing customer. If not, I'll go ahead and create a new customer, or as we call in Salesforce terminology, an account. I create an order record in CRM. I'll attach the order PDF that had come in the email against that order as an attachment in the CRM. Then I'll log into another system, which is a legacy finance system. I'll go and create an invoice there, and then I'll reply to the customer that your order has been created. This is your payment is due. So if you see, this is a very, very manual process. Almost on all the steps, I have human intervention which is happening. I'm looking for the email, downloading the file, I'm logging into Salesforce, creating an order object, I'm logging into the legacy system, creating an invoice. So this process is clearly not scalable. So there are massive challenges. There is a lot of time being taken. There is human error, which, so for example, I spell something wrong. I spell the customer email wrong or something wrong, which can actually have a downstream impact. So the customer would never receive notification. So again, also this is a very, very rudimentary or monotonous process. So your staff will do it once, they'll do it twice, but after that, very boring. Like if you're doing the same in and day out, so there is no staff satisfaction from this repetitive task. This is where we can actually leverage MuleSoft RPA and automate this process from end to end. So rather than having somebody check my email every few minutes whether an order came in or not, I actually have a composer flow, which is basically checking for all my Salesforce order emails. As soon as that email comes in, what MuleSoft Composer does is it triggers an RPA bot. That RPA bot reads the email, downloads that attachment locally, uploads that attachment to an S3 bucket. So I can actually have the MuleSoft RPA native OCR capabilities extract the order data. I can also run quality checks on the order data using regular expressions just to see whether the data is up to the mark or not. Assuming it's of good quality, I can, again, this is all being done by the RPA bot. There is no human interaction. The bot can then log into Salesforce. Actually, it does it via the API. So bot can then invoke an API and create an order in Salesforce, log into the legacy finance system, update the order API. It can also send a Slack notification to the ops team that, hey, there is a new order which came in, you need to look into it. And then additionally, we can also notify the custom via a Twilio, using Twilio capabilities and a text message as well. So this is what we can do using MuleSoft RPA. There is another case where, for example, like if you have handwriting which is very, very poor, like my handwriting, and it's not able to read what I've written in the order form. It cannot even make out whether it's English or French. Then what we can also do is, rather than relying on the native OCR capabilities, we can actually use something like AWS Text Track. So we go ahead and create a human review task. This sends out a sales op notification. They can review and correct the order data and then submit the review. We'll actually look at how this happens, but first look at the happy path with the native OCR capabilities. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and play this video. So the first step is, like, there is an email which comes in, my composer flow is triggering it, and then it triggers my RPA process. So what is going to happen is, as soon as that email drops, and this is the Windows machine where we were running this, this has triggered my RPA process. You'll see notifications at each step. What we are trying to do is that email came in, we downloaded that particular email. Now we want to attach that particular email, upload that email to an S3 bucket. So this is the special orders new PDF which we want to upload. So this is all being done via the bot. There is no human intervention involved here. So what the bot does is it uses the AWS S3 CLI interface, passes the name of the file, passes the path to my S3 bucket, exits once the file has been uploaded. On the S3 bucket, I'm able to extract the order. I'm able to look at what are, so for example, this was the order. It is able to extract that this is the information, this was the account ID, this was the account name, certain other parameters like address, and these are the line items. And at every step, my bot is actually telling me what is happening. Now it's calling the order experience API, which is creating an order in Salesforce. I go into Salesforce, I check whether the order is successfully created. I can find the order there. Since it's a new order, it's in draft state, and I also have the two order products, which were my line items, which I had put in the PDF. So you can see here, the order is in draft stage. And then the line items have also been created. We also have a action to post a Slack message. And again, when we were running this, it actually generated a Slack message. So this is a notification to our sales team there is a new order which comes in, please go ahead and fulfill it. So the sales team comes into Salesforce. This is manual. They come into Salesforce and mark the order as fulfilled. What this does is triggers another bot, which opens an accounting website, which is a very simplistic website that we put together. What it will do is the bot will actually go and log into that particular website. In this case, it's an unauthenticated website. It has all the parameters from the order form: vendor name, vendor details, invoice number, invoice date. It will go and add the order line items as well, and then it will click the submit button. So my order has also been submitted. The best thing which is happening, and then we come back to Salesforce. We can also see the Twilio message which was sent out to the customer. The best thing is that even if your inventory system or the invoicing system, even if it jumbles up like the sequence of fields, vendor name, vendor ID, all of those are jumbled up, the bot can be trained to actually recognize those patterns as well. So in that sense, it's very, very intelligent, and it can take care of those scenarios as well. So moving on, that was, as I said, the first piece where we actually went to the happy path. So for example, now if I say that if the confidence level of the data that has been extracted is not greater than 90%, then what we want to do is we don't want to leverage the native OCR capabilities. What we want to do instead is we want to leverage AWS Extract, which we know that is a very prominent OCR solution and has a much higher OCR success rate. So what we'll do is we'll look at the alternate path as well. So the trigger path remains the same. It is only the path that changes is once you have downloaded the attachment, what you will do is you again upload the file to S3. You also trigger the extract locally. So again, we will use the AWS CLI SDK. So there we are passing the document as a parameter. We are using the extract analyze document. This generates a specific output, which is our PDF, and the bot will exit. We can actually see there is, we are constantly polling. So this has been successful. We can see that the extract was successful, and then we create the human in a loop. So we can look at the same document. It has been able to extract most of the information, and we can actually see on the right hand side what are the information that it was able to extract. So for example, date, it possibly got the year wrong, so I can actually go ahead and fix it. It was not able to detect the phone number from the form that I filled, so I can go and enter that manually. So there is a lot of flexibility that extract actually adds in terms of what native OCR cannot do. And if there are certain fields, for example, item 0, I don't really need that. Extract thinks it's needed. I can go and mark it as no. So it will actually be removed from the final PDF that is generated. And I can do that, and I can go and submit. Once I've submitted, I actually have a monitoring API, which is basically checking every 30 seconds once this process has been completed. Once it's complete, again, the same cycle happens. A new order is created. You should see that latest order come up, and rest of the flow is again the same. So again, in terms of flexibility, the architecture allows using the core native OCR capabilities that MuleSoft RPA provides. You can also use AWS Extract. We have also experimented. Again, Extract also has certain limitations. So we've also experimented with an IDP platform like Abby, and again, it works very nicely with MuleSoft RPA as well. So just a quick recap in terms of some of the core concepts. And again, this is a somewhat short session. I could actually show you the whole process of building out the bot using RPA Builder. How do you do the bot configuration using RPA Manager, and how you train the bot using RPA Recorder, but that will probably be a 2-hour workshop. So the overall idea is to, as I said, avoid human repetitive tasks, delegate such tasks to a bot wherever possible. You can do these using, like we saw, like it went to our inventory system or the invoicing system and generated an invoice for us. It was able to extract information from a document, and it can also work with images as well. So we also call it the eliminate the swivel chair work, or also the donkey work out of manual tasks, which is basically something that a human doesn't need to do, should never be done by a human. So that is the overall idea of MuleSoft RPA. So whether you are copying data between systems, whether there is an API that is being called, anything that a bot can do where we can save human effort, we should do that. And again, the overall idea is to enable end-to-end automation at scale. We can reuse RPA securely with Salesforce C360 automation platform and Composer. And one of the things which I mentioned is it's in platform. So as opposed to, you could also do the same thing which I've just shown you using UiPath, automation anywhere, Blue Prism, or any other platform. But the problem is it runs outside your Salesforce platform. So in that sense, it's off platform. So having everything being done in a single platform is a massive advantage as well. There are a lot of good learning material available on MuleSoft RPA. So just a little bit of history. MuleSoft RPA was in pre-launch or in beta stage for several months, and that is where we got involved. My company was a pre-launch partner, and that's where we actually started interacting with MuleSoft RPA. 1st of August, the product went live. It is GA. There is a lot of training and enablement material available on Trailhead. There is a specific trail mix as well. And then there are a lot of other sessions which MuleSoft team themselves are doing on MuleSoft RPA. So if you want to do a deeper dive, there is a 2-hour workshop coming up, I think in November, December, and January. And I'll try and find a link which I can share with all of you for your reference as well. So that's it in terms of content which I wanted to present. And if there are any questions, I can take them now.
I think there is a question from Joy.
Definitely, I will read out the question.
Yep.
Yeah, so the question is from Joey. For this specific RPA demo, is this something done locally on a Windows machine, or is this actually being hosted in the cloud by MuleSoft?
This was being done locally. So currently the big limitation is that MuleSoft RPA Builder and MuleSoft RPA Recorder, these cannot run on non-Windows platforms. So that's the reason this has to be done locally. There is support planned for Mac platform. I don't think they'll be able to port it to the cloud because it's a lot of it will be challenging, I think, to build out the RPA Builder on cloud initially, because in the original service trace product as well, only MuleSoft RPA Builder was supported on Windows platform. But the next logical step is support for Mac, and then eventually I'm assuming that they'll post it on the cloud as well.
Okay, and he says, like, I understand that the advantage of MuleSoft RPA is when we look at it as a whole, along with MuleSoft Anypoint platform and Salesforce, in terms of purely just the core RPA capabilities, how far is it from UiPath and Automation Anywhere?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think one advantage, I'll talk about both the aspects. So the big advantage that MuleSoft has as compared to UiPath and Automation Anywhere is basically it's now an end-to-end solution. So from your data source, which could be any system, it could be Salesforce, it could be Box, it could be Google Drive, it could be an Excel sheet, you basically can do end-to-end automation using not just MuleSoft RPA, but you can also like use Composer to trigger your flows. And then there is also Salesforce, which is basically if that is your eventual sync for the data, so you have everything that can be done by one system or one platform. In that sense, UiPath and Automation Anywhere, they lag a bit because they are typically talking to a different source and a different sync. To your other question, how far is it from UiPath and Automation Anywhere in terms of core RPA capabilities? UiPath and Automation Anywhere have been around for a very, very long time. What they've done really well is they've built out accelerators. For example, if you want to build out automation for financial services, UiPath already has like an accelerator for that. You actually don't need to build out your bot from scratch. You can use that accelerator, that specific offering, use that as your baseline, and then customize your offering based on that. Currently, MuleSoft RPA does not have that, but whatever I've seen in the roadmap, that is the direction, because Salesforce is also moving more towards an industries model, and that is the direction that MuleSoft RPA will eventually move as well. So I'll say not really at par with UiPath and Automation Anywhere in terms of the core capabilities as of now, but definitely MuleSoft RPA has a leg up because there is Composer, there is Anypoint platform, and then there is Salesforce. So I think it kind of evens it out. But I'm sure in terms of core RPA capabilities as well, the product will strengthen over the coming months.
Okay, so we have one more from Rajiv. Any limitation of RPA?
It's a very generic question, but I'll try and answer it based on my understanding. So, anything that involves like human intelligence, like RPA, the bots are typically doing repetitive tasks. So, for example, if there is certain tasks which involves like human intelligence, then that could potentially be a little bit of a challenge for bot. For example, you see captcha. So there are actually now bots being developed which are intelligent enough to deal with captcha or reCAPTCHA as well. So in that sense, there are things which a bot cannot do. But again, all RPA platforms, whether it's Mule RPA, whether it's any automation anywhere or UiPath, they are constantly revamping the technology to be able to do those tasks as well. So for example, captcha, as I mentioned, is a good example, because uh, anytime you refresh a page, that image also changes. So your bot needs to be intelligent enough that it needs to read the page again, and based on whatever it has read, it needs to populate that code. So again, there are other cases as well, like a lot of pages also employ mathematical calculations. Multi-factor authentication is also something which a bot cannot do at the moment. So there are certain limitations which can only be dealt with humans.
Okay, so we have one from Anusha. How are errors handled in Mule Composer?
Yeah, so it's very similar to how you can do error handling in like Flows or any other no code platform. You can basically specify your error flow in terms of what you want to what you want to happen. You want to show a error to the user on the screen, you want to trigger an email, you want to send out a SMS notification, you want to generate a Slack notification. All of that is possible. It really depends on what use case you have.
Okay,
And I
so
think Joey also added another point to that, the try catch mechanism. So yeah, that's
right.
currently not there.
Okay, great. So do we have any more questions? Let us know,
And
like,
again,
if please go ahead.
yeah, while we're waiting for questions, like this is the automation workshop which I was referring to, and thank you, Joey, for sharing this. You should also follow Joey if you already don't. He presented a session on MuleSoft Composer yesterday for another group, another Salesforce group, and there is a lot of enablement sessions happening around Composer and MuleSoft RPA in the next few months. So this is a really good time to scale up on it. Any other questions?
I don't think so. We have any. Do anyone like wants to enable his mic and ask the question? Okay, we have one from Fugo. What would you prefer to use for email polling?
You could use Composer. I think that that kind of takes away the human effort in terms of pulling out an email account on a constant basis. So you could use Composer, and then Composer could basically trigger your RPA bot once it has pulled the email and found the email that it was looking for. That could be a very simple option to do that. There are other ways to do it as well, but I think that that approach is fairly simple and straightforward.
Okay, I think we don't have any more questions. Let us know, like, if you have. We can answer later as well. Okay, I'll start sharing my screen. Okay, let me know, like, if it's visible. So we'll start the Quizlet.
I can see it.
Yeah. So, like, if you want to speak up, we you can suggest us the topic and let us know. Like, we will help you out as well. So I'll start. We'll start in the quiz. Okay. So before that, like, you can share with your friends this recording will be uploaded, so you can share this with your friends, like, who wants to learn about RPA. And yeah. Okay, let's move to the quiz. So we'll be playing the quiz on Kahoot. So let me share the code first. So join the you can join the quiz using your mobile, and just enter kahoot.it, and let me share the code here in chat. I'm sharing the screen in a little. Let us know like if you are facing any issues in joining. You can scan this QR or just enter count.it and enter this pin. So we will be having a total of 6 questions. So first question will be just a test question, and before that, like I want to like announce that we have a next meetup on Tuesday with the topic Anypoint MQ. So please do join. Okay, so anyone having any issues in joining, or we will start in next 30 seconds. Okay, I think we can start. I'll start in next 10 seconds. So let me know if you face any issue. Okay, I'm locking the quiz and we'll begin. So this is a no mark question. First question just for test. Okay, great.
Actively listening them.
Yeah. Great. Everyone, most of you did the correct. Let's see who's on top. Okay, we have Kalyani on top. Let's move to the next question. It's an easy one. Okay, still some of you are did the incorrect. Let's move to the next question for C. Harun is on top. Great. Last second question. So which of the following is not an OCR tool? Great. Most of you did the incorrect answer. So AWS SageMaker is the correct one. It's a machine learning tool by AWS. So machine learning training algorithm tool. So let's see who's on top. Vipul. Last question, guys. Windows. Okay, let's see who's on the podium. Joey is on second. Vipul, congratulations, like all the guys. Okay. You can share the like emails to me on the DM or like here in chat as well. Thank you, Gaurav, for an amazing session, and we love that.
Yep. Thank you, Gaurav, for your
Thank you,
time on
Gaurav.
today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gaurav, for all our great session.
Thank you
Yep.
once again.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you, Abhishek, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Okay, Joey, thanks. I'll assign to the fourth guy. Let me see who's the one.
I have captured that screenshot.
Yeah, I can. I think fourth guy can share his email, so we will assign the voucher to you.
Arun is the fourth person.
Arun, you can share your email.
Is he there still?
Anil. Okay. Let's see. We can reach out to him. Don't think so. He's there.
Yeah, he's here on Arun. I think Arun Karthik.
Arun. Okay, Arun Karthik. Yeah, he
Thank
shared
you,
his
Arun.
email. Okay, great. So thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you all. Bye.